There has been a lot of negative talk about NBA 2K20 and a lot of aspects of the game. Park, my career, glitches in general, but there's been one game mode that has not been talked about and I feel like it needs to be addressed. And this is for all of you guys out there who play MyTEAM. This is going to be a MyTEAM video in talking about the issues and the concerns within the game mode. I don't play MyTEAM that much. I used to play it in the past, but I saw the game mode going downhill and it wasn't really fun to me anymore, so I stopped playing. If you know me that well, you know that I played a lot of MyTEAM. With that being said, I got one of my good friends, DBG, to come on and do a little bit of an interview with me, and he talked about the game mode because he knows more about it than me. So in this video, me and him are going to sit down and have a little bit of a conversation about NBA 2K20 MyTEAM. I know the video is a little long, but I hope you guys enjoy it and you sit through and you think of it as kind of like a podcast. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Right, and I sat here in a Discord call with a fellow MyTEAM 2K20 MyTEAM YouTuber by the name of DBG, and he's gonna sit here and he's gonna talk to you guys about the issues, the problems with MyTEAM, his personal opinions, and basically what he thinks needs to be improved for NBA 2K20 MyTEAM. So without further ado, DBG, go ahead.
So we all pretty much knew coming into 2K20 MyTEAM that was going to be a little bit iffy to start off because of the whole slot machine situation, and then obviously there was a lot of like stuff that was wrong at launch. And in my opinion, I think stuff like that does happen at launch, but it's the things that have happened since then that have really kind of ruined this game mode. Like looking at it from the developer blog, it seemed like this could have been the best year of MyTEAM ever, but there was a lot of things that I kind of noticed at the very start of the year before it happened. And I was like, worst case scenario, this could happen. And knowing 2K, you got to expect worst case scenario, just like what happened with Luka Doncic. And a lot of people were calling me crazy, just calling me a complete pessimist, which in fairness, I probably am. So, but you got to see trends. If 2K can find a way to make money out of something, they will. So throughout the year, there hasn't been, like at the start of the year, it actually looked great for people that were grinding. There was, like triple threat offline when that came, when that finally started working. The vaults, we were getting players in the vaults. We were getting diamond cards every couple of weeks, and then that just stopped. Week one, triple threat online. Like the rewards are terrible for triple threat online, but at least we were on the Thursday of the first week, we got a Channing Frye card, which we got again yesterday for free daily login rewards. But that was great. That's the only time we've got it. So week one. So after the 15th of October, they've stopped giving us free cards from triple threat.
Why? Like, is there a reason behind that?
No. So basically, they then released a poll last week being like, what do you guys want from triple threat online boards? And players obviously is the highest voted for thing. And then there was a lot of things like players, packs and stuff, but it's like, we got all of them last year. So why did they just take them away at the start of the year? And why did they give them to us to start and then just to take them away? It's like
that doesn't really make much sense. It's like they're like, oh, this is looking promising. They give it to you and then they never do it again.
Yeah, and then it's not only that, it's that we know eventually they're going to do it again. And this kind of happens every year with 2K. They'll give us something, and then they'll completely take it away, and they'll bring it back like it's a new feature. It's like even something as simple as rebounders and freestyle. They took them out of the game for
like, see,
2K.
Right? See, I saw that. Like, I'm not big into MyTEAM this year, but I saw that, and that to me is just something that logically does not make sense. They added them back, right?
Yeah, but they made it out like it was this big feature, but it's like, all you did was just put something back in the game you should have never taken out.
Like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's just like a little thing that's always been in 2K when you're playing freestyle. Like, what was the need for them to remove that and then make you have to like go run and get your ball? Like that just doesn't make sense to me. But let's talk about because I was on Twitter today, and this kind of sparked me to make this video and to get you in the call so we could discuss something like this. I saw people getting upset over this Luka Doncic card. They were saying it was like a re-released card, and then there's been issues with packs and stuff like that in the past. Do you want to just like touch on that a little bit and enlighten me?
Yeah. So the Luka Doncic situation is something that most people, when they really looked into what position locks were at the very start, kind of knew something like this was going to happen, because from the very start we saw with position locks that a lot of position locks weren't actually based on real life. They were based on just height. So like Ben Simmons can't play point guard, but he can play small forward where he's never played a second of his career. So it's one of those things where it's like, we knew eventually Ben Simmons was getting a point guard card. and that was going to just break the game.
Right.
And what a lot of us predicted was that we're going to see a lot of, say, a Ben Simmons Sapphire card that's the exact same but can play point guard, and 2K released it as new content, which is exactly what they did with Luka Doncic. So Luka Doncic,
but that isn't really new content though. They're just releasing basically the same card. It's just he can play a different position.
No, it's not new content at all, but it's hard to explain, but it's like 2K will claim it's new content. They'll make a big advertisement about it for releasing something that's already in the game, and the fact position lock should not be a thing. Like,
2K, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So is that Luka Doncic that can now play point guard? Is he in packs?
Yes.
So they're basically, we changed the position of a certain card. Now he is technically new content, which he isn't. And then people spend more money on packs to pull a card to play him at a different position, right?
Exactly. That's the whole point. It's like, even if he had gotten 2 extra Hall of Fame badges, and I'm pretty sure that because of the backlash, 2K will give him extra Hall of Fame badges, which is why I'd rather say this, and I'd rather this be out there before 2K do it, because it showed that that's what 2K's whole thing is.
That they already have
we didn't notice.
Yeah, so you're basically looking at this, because you said that you called this earlier in the year, like right when it came out. You said position locks were more of like a thing for them to kind of make more money, or whatever the case was. So with this, it's like they have a Luka Doncic. What did he play? So he's played small forward, right? His first card?
He's small forward / 2 guard, and like realistically, I don't know what position he's listed as in the NBA, but Luka Doncic is the primary ball handler for the Dallas Mavericks, and he has been since the second he walked into the NBA. Right. Like, he is the point guard.
Yeah. So it'd be like, does LeBron James have a point guard card in 2K? Probably not, right?
No, but it's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna happen that LeBron has a point guard card. It's gonna happen that Simmons has a point guard card. And the thing is that in previous years, changing positions didn't make a difference because they didn't have position locks. But now, with position locks, they can do what they did with Luka Doncic, and people will still open packs for him.
And to me, like, to you, this is a question for you as well, and anyone watching this video who plays my team. For someone who sees that and isn't, I don't want to say a follower or a casual, I don't even play the game mode, and I can look at this from my perspective, that kind of seems to me like that's just a straight up money grab. Like, it's just, release a new card, but you can play him in a different position, and then people will pay more money to get that card. Like, that's just kind of insulting almost to me.
It 100% is. And like, even if the Luka Doncic was worse than the one we already have for locking in, like the Luka Doncic we have that's the exact same, can play small forward and 2 guard, but to get that card, you needed to buy 10 cards and lock them all in to get the card, which ended up being 200-300k, I'd say, at least. And then all of a sudden, there's a Luka Doncic, it's the exact same, it's in packs. So anyone who has the other Luka Doncic has already wasted their MT. They've already have their MT locked up in this Doncic card they can't do anything with. And now there's a Doncic that can play a more favorable position that's the exact same. So you're like, well, this Doncic is a lot better. Maybe I'll go and open packs, or maybe hopefully they're deciding to buy MT if they really want this card instead of opening packs.
Right.
But yeah, it's frustrating because anyone could kind of see something like this happening. Like, I can guarantee you we get out of position packs later in the year where we get players in random positions. But once they implement the position locks, the fact that this had potential to make the money, knowing 2K, anything that even has a slight bit of potential to make the money, they're going to do.
Exactly. I agree. Let's talk about, because we were talking about the packs about Luka Doncic there. Let's talk about, I'm not entirely too sure of his name, but I saw on Twitter that there was a pack, the Legacy packs, I think they were called, yeah?
Yeah, and the David Thompson situation.
David Thompson, yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so pretty much yesterday it came up on everyone's home screen that David Thompson packs were released when they hadn't been, but that's not a big deal because when you go into packs, you see the packs just aren't there. But today they released it on Twitter and said our David Thompson Legacy packs are out. The packs were there. The only problem was that every other card was in the packs except for David Thompson. So the card the packs is based around, the pink diamond card, the one that 2K were advertising, the one that everyone was kind of bigging up, was literally not in packs for an entire hour. And most people open, like, the highest, like, kind of stage where people are opening packs is that first hour. Obviously people keep opening them.
They get the excitement's there, right? Like, the excitement is there for you to open packs. Now, how did you guys, as a community, find out that he wasn't in packs?
So I wasn't actually on my console. So there's a good chance that they actually looked into the packs, and you can press triangle to see what cards are in them, and he just wasn't there. That's the only way to know for sure. And also, fact that there was none of them on the market for over an hour.
Yeah, that's a pretty good indication that he wasn't.
Especially because I'm on PC, so there's so many. Like, there's no other way of describing it. There's so many hackers on the game that the cards will be in. There's a million of these cards up. So, like, say for 1 hour there was none of them, and then for the next 20 minutes there was about 400. Wow. So that's what you mean. Like, it got to the stage where it's obvious there's something wrong. Like,
oh, absolutely. So you got the Luka Doncic thing there with them basically releasing the same card and then calling it new content, just changing his position. You got a player not being in packs. Now let's talk about all of the other things that are associated with MyTEAM as well. So I believe there was something to do with the qualifiers that there was an issue with, and I think that was a big thing in the community because I follow a lot of people who play 2K competitively at MyTEAM, and they were complaining about that. So what exactly went on with that?
So there was two major problems with the qualifiers, and one of them has been kind of swept under the rug because it only really affected 1 or 2 people, and those people wouldn't really have a big voice. So I'm going to focus on that a good bit. But basically, there was a problem with entries for, like, being able to actually play in it. So last year in 2K19, it was a ticket system. So for every 20 tickets you had, you got, say, I think it was like, if you got 12, went 12-0, you got 20 tickets. So tickets were for MyTEAM Unlimited wins, and you spent tickets on entering the tournaments. So it's hard that something goes wrong with that type of system. This year's system was just, if you win 10 games in a month, you can qualify. But once the countdown goes to 0, it's like 10 games you need to win 9 games. Once it goes to 0, half the time it glitches and says you haven't qualified or you need 10 more wins and it refuses to count down. So the problem with that was for pretty much anyone that would try to log in straight away, like on the second that was already logged into MyTEAM, they weren't able to even play in the tournaments. People that waited a minute or two, almost everyone got in the end. But for people like me, Henry DeBlasian, HDB, for us, like, it would have been lucky if we qualified, so it wasn't that big a deal for us. But for Shump or Boo Painter, one of the best overall 2K players in the world, he wasn't able to even try to qualify, and which is a complete disaster. It wouldn't have been as big a deal as last year, because last year there was 16 qualifiers and 1 person went through in each. This year there's only 4 qualifiers, or 4 go through, and every 4 weeks. So it's the same basically system, but there's less
chance for someone to qualify if an issue were to happen, right? Let's actually talk about that. I actually am glad that you brought that up, because I saw a tweet on Twitter. They acknowledged it, but they didn't say they were going to postpone it, did they? Like on Twitter?
No, they basically just said, they said basically that there was an issue and we'll try fix it next time. So that was pretty much it.
So let's say Shump was the one who got affected by this, and I know who Shump is. I'm cool with Shump. Known him for a while. So he got affected to Shump is Boo Painter. Sorry, he used to go by Shump when he played in the E League or whatever, 2K League. So he got affected by that. So that is, and he's a good player, right? So him not
he was gonna qualify.
Oh,
no offense to some of the people that qualified, but Shump is a lot. Like, I think even YBC will say it himself that Shump is better than him. Like,
yeah, Shump's crazy. Shump is amazing. But let's say that because he didn't that was the first week of qualifiers, right?
The second one, Shump couldn't play the first one, so now he only has 2 more chances.
Right. So let's say that happens. Let's say it's the last weekend or week, whenever it happens, of qualifiers, right? And then something technical like that happens. That is now affecting people to potentially make a lot of money. It's $250,000, right?
Yeah, it's affecting a life-changing opportunity.
And it's because it's a technical issue that they've refused to, they finally addressed it, but they didn't do anything about it. It's like saying, oh, hey, I cheated on my girlfriend or something. I'm sorry, but I'm, whatever. They're just basically acknowledging that they made a mistake and that they're not going to do anything to improve it. Like, they're not going to add another qualifier, essentially.
No. And, like, that wouldn't even be the hardest thing in the world to do. Yeah. It's an online tournament, so if they added another qualifier and said to the 4 qualifiers that got through this week, played off against those 4 qualifiers in like a prelim round to get into the tournament. But it's like, I just sent you a tweet there and DMs, but like, as soon as it was announced that there was only 4 qualifier rounds, the first thing I tweeted was they decreased the amount of qualifiers by 75%. So if you lose because of 2K servers or another error, you only have 3 more chances rather than 15. So it's just so much less of a margin for error, especially because for example, if Shump happens to draw, I'm trying to think, is there any, or Jin Sanity, if the two of those guys draw each other first game in the next qualifier, one of them's going to lose, and they're two of the best players in the world. And then what happens if their servers disconnect in the final qualifier? They're done. They've basically had no chance of really.
2K just ignores it. They don't care and they move on, kind of like what they do with everything.
Yeah, and then as annoying as that was, and the tournament was a disaster, there was something else they did that really was the worst possible thing. Was even worse, and there was no explanation for this. They didn't even say why they did it. They didn't even mention the fact they did it. And it was, so the tournament's a 4-hour long tournament, and with about 90 minutes to go, so you know what about 30 minutes to go, so the tournament's about to end, they decide randomly to add an extra hour to it. So the tournament is based on, you get points for your wins, so you play as many games as possible, you get as many points as possible, and whoever gets the most points wins. So the way the tournament's structured, if you can't find a game, you're screwed. Or if you're getting stalled out of a game, you're screwed. So if someone makes you play a while, it's a flawed tournament. But basically, there was a guy, Fatboz from France, and as someone who's played the tournament from Europe, I know how hard it is to find a game in the last hour normally. And like, I remember last year, I think I was 5th and had to spend a half an hour, or had to spend 8 minutes waiting for a game. So I was basically done for, no chance of me qualifying. But what happened to him was that he was in 3rd place at the end of like the 4-hour period. And he had started a game just before they added the extra hour. So he finished the game, thought there was 1 minute to go, knew that he'd won, he'd qualified, was sitting back about to relax, saw randomly that there was an extra hour added. And because in Europe it was from 11 p.m. to 12 p.m., it took him 7 minutes to find a game. And in that period, if you're being stalled 7 minutes just finding a game, you're done for in a tournament like that when it's based on getting games quick. Like, a lot of people have gone in, forced a rage quit within 7 minutes. And because there were so few people playing in Europe, it took him 7 minutes just to find a game. And he ended up finishing, and he was 5th or 6th, not qualifying. So realistically, he qualified. The tournament was 4 hours. He was top 4 after 4 hours. He should be in it. But
why did they do that?
They never said why. They literally never said why. I think there was some sort of a mix-up between time zones or something, and I'm not sure. People were saying it started an hour early, started at the proper time in Europe, so I don't really know the way the time zones were, but they never addressed it. They never said we added the extra hour for this reason. When they added the extra hour, they didn't tweet about it. It just randomly showed, instead of 30 minutes to go, that there was an hour and 30 minutes to go. It's just 2K.
Yeah, that doesn't really make much sense to me, because like you said, it's affecting people from, different regions in the world. Is that does that happen a lot with qualifiers, or how does that go? Because there's people who qualify from all over the world. I don't know if they have regions. Knowing 2K, I highly doubt it.
They don't.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Australia and New Zealand can't qualify. Yeah, they can't even play at all.
But they can play, but you're playing from 1 to 5 a.m. and you're expected to get I don't know, in those 4 hours you expect to get 20 games in or so. 15, 20 games, and realistically there's not 15 people playing at 2, 3 a.m. in this qualifier in Australia. Right. And when you lose, you're out. So within about an hour, everyone's gone. So except for 1 or 2 people. Yeah. It's just a really badly ran tournament. And the thing is that it was so bad last year and everyone complained about it. And
I remember watching that tournament last year. I remember because they had it on you could click on the main menu and watch the tournament live.
Yeah, watch it broadcast.
Was that what it was? Yeah, that was another thing. They watched it in the worst camera angle. There was no commentary or anything. It was very poorly ran. But the fact that they're going and adding on extra time to a tournament that could potentially change people's lives with the amount of money that's on the line, and then there's errors going on and whatnot, that just is very, very poorly ran. It's a very unprofessional, considering that it's 2K and they're hosting a tournament like that. It's almost like they don't care, right?
2K have a completely... I don't think, from what I know, it's not 2K themselves that are running the tournaments. It's an outside company that 2K are hiring to run the tournament on their behalf. And that's why it's I know for a fact that there are people in 2K that know it's a disaster and know how to fix it, but the company that are running it basically won't. I don't know who the company are.
It still looks bad on 2K because 2K is representing that. So, in the fact that 2K already has a terrible reputation as it is, kind of makes it easy to...
Does it matter? At this stage, doesn't matter if anything looks bad in 2K. They have a monopoly.
True.
It doesn't matter. I know as bad as 2K20 is, and why they're giving the game free and stuff and getting more people to play it. I'm pretty sure that the figures are right. That is the highest selling game. The problem is that they probably expected it to sell more and more people to be playing the game. So they obviously had much higher targets, which is why they're trying to get people to spend more on microtransactions. So it's just one of those things where if it can go wrong with 2K, it will go wrong. And
That's a fact.
it's one of those, like, you can't even predict how it's going to go wrong. That's the fun part, is seeing how they mess things up. That's a little bit of the fun part.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about the packs. We talked about the tournament. Now I want to get to the most important thing, because I've heard mixed answers from this, and you're an experienced MyTEAM player this year, and throughout the years, and I think I have the general synopsis of this answer. But how is NBA 2K20 MyTEAM when it comes to core gameplay? Like, does it play well? If it doesn't, what are the issues? I want to hear it does.
So, I'm not a fan of it, because like we all know how much we hate the blow by in 2K18. They just brought the blow by back. Spacing's all over the place, but there's kind of ways around it. Like, you can adapt your game and play. Like, anyone who watches my channel knows that I use the phrase adapt or die a lot. I'll adapt my game to whatever the meta is. And look, like, I don't think it's the best 2K we've had, but there was times where I didn't like 19, there was times where I didn't like 18. And I'm probably not the person to be talking too much about the core gameplay, because like, whatever the cheese is, I'm going to use it.
Right, and that's how most 2K players' mindset is. But I've talked to some competitive players who qualify for the tournaments and stuff. Shump, TJ, and a lot of other people who are considered, comp MyTEAM players. I've talked to them, and they think the gameplay is terrible, especially when it comes to contested shots. I've heard contested shots in this game are terrible this year.
Yeah, so basically, I don't know what 2K have done with the way people shoot. So basically, if you don't green it, and it's a slightly early or slightly late, it's not going in. There's actually basically what I call the full white glitch in the game for some reason, where if you shoot literally a full bar where it should be green, where there's no space, it misses 100% of the time, because it's obviously the game saying we don't want you to green, so it's an automatic miss. But half bars go in at a really high rate. Smothered shots go in at a really high rate. It's weird, like a full white goes in less often than a smothered deep three with a terrible release. Like, it
just doesn't make sense.
It's green or nothing, basically.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's similar in Park, but the difference is like there's less people completely messing up releases in Park, because you have one release, you know what it is. In MyTEAM, because there's so many different releases, so many different players, it's very rare, unless you're a comp level player or thereabouts, that you're going to have all your players' releases down. So it's a lot more noticeable, but that's just a core gameplay thing that's a problem with 2K. It's just probably not as noticeable when you're playing Park.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, because, okay, so your overall take from gameplay this year, how would you put it comparing it to, let's say, last year? Like, is it an improvement? Is it a decrease?
I like last year, and the problem is that off ball was so overpowered last year that they tried to do whatever they could to kind of combat that, and by doing that, they brought back the blow by, which kind of defeats the purpose of defense. It just doesn't exist anymore.
Right. And then didn't they take out 5 out or whatever that was, the ISO?
Yeah. So five out blow bys were unguardable in the game, just like in 2K18. It was unguardable unless you helped in. Like, if you're a really good player, sure, you're going to be able to guard it. There's going to be ways to break it down. But for a normal player, if you play the game, say, twice, 3 times a week, which is probably 70% of the actual fan base, you're not going to be able to guard 5 out. You're just simply not going to be able to do it. If your opponent knows how to hit snatchback threes, they have the right personnel, they're not going to be able to guard it. And the thing is, like, they just took it out of the game. They replaced it with plays to just ruin spacing. So, like, you'll be one-on-one in the post, and a player will just, instead of making a cut, they'll just torpedo cut directly into your player, meaning they're quadruple teams in the post. It's like you just couldn't get open with anybody. So it's a case of they realized that their gameplay was broken, and rather than trying to tweak the gameplay, which would have taken a lot more effort, they they decided to try fix a broken bone with a plaster, with some tape, like, by just getting rid of 5 out and hoping people would be just happier. And some people were, a lot of casual people were, but like, it didn't actually fix anything in the game. It just took out one way to exploit the game, which isn't really an exploit because 5 out's a genuine way of playing basketball. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So most people aren't a fan of NBA 2K20 MyTEAM, especially when it comes to the gameplay. Like I asked, do you think it's one of the worst? Like, do you think it's like poor this year, or what is your general opinion on it?
Like, I think in general the gameplay is poor, but I'm gonna say this is that we look back on a lot of games with nostalgia goggles. Like, we can't forget that in 2K15 patch 4 existed where literally every contested shot went in.
Yep.
We can't forget about baseline cheese in those games, turboing to the basket with Zach LaVine scoring every time. We can't forget 2K17 where 5 out dribble. If you could dribble the ball and ran 5 out with momentum cross, you scored every time. 2K18 was obviously broken. 2K19 was the year of off-ball OP. So like, there's problems every year. It's just depending on the person whether they think the problems this year are more bearable than the problems in other years. Because there's no perfect 2K game, especially in terms of my team. And it's all seeing what is the least of all the evils. Because there's a different thing wrong with every game.
Absolutely. That's actually a really great way to put it. Because I played my team back in the day, and it was 15 and 16, and 15 was the most broken game when it came to contested shots. You could green, like nowadays, if we had the shot feedback on, you could green probably 95% contested shots every time. So,
but we don't remember that. We just think of the good times. We just think of the Jesser LNU wagers. We just remember, it was these X, Y, and Z cards. It was like 2K13 with the Eurostep 3-pointer. That was the most broken thing ever in any 2K game. People still look fondly back at 2K13. So the problem is that, I don't know, I think it's that we came into 2K20. I don't think it's necessarily the gameplay that's that much of a problem. I think it's everything around the gameplay, and the gameplay doesn't help.
I think the gameplay is probably the only positive thing about NBA 2K20. I don't know about my team because I don't play my team this year, but in terms of like playing Park and how long I've played Park this year, I think gameplay has actually like improved a lot, especially from last year. I don't know about the smothered to my team going in. That would be extremely frustrating to play against, especially if you play perfect defense. But I think it's everything else. I think it's the stuff that we talked about before. And I think it's the issues with the online features, because I know there was a problem with my team being able to play online for a little bit. The rewards randomly being decreased, because you said they gave you rewards at the beginning for triple threat offline, I think you said.
Yeah, but the gameplay this year, the skill gap is so much lower because of the green or miss shooting thing.
Oh yeah.
But like, it's like a lot of people are saying it actually increases the skill gap, but in a game with this much latency, an almost green shouldn't be worse than a heavily contested half bar.
Absolutely.
Like, I get it but greening's easier. In terms of like actual comp players, I can see why they really, really dislike this game, because there's only one way really to play it. And like, there's no way to tactically play this game. You got to cheese your ass off. Whereas in a lot of previous years, obviously there was cheese, but there was ways to play the game tactically. In the game this year, if you try to run plays, if you try to play quote unquote sim ball, you're going to lose. Like,
yeah,
simple as that.
So how long have you played my team this year?
How long?
Yeah, probably since the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I think I've played. I'm not necessarily physically played the game more than anybody, but I've been on this game mode more than anybody.
Right. Okay, so let's take it, since this is an NBA 2K20 MyTEAM video, let's get what do you think the game could do? Not even including gameplay, you can include that as well, but what do you want to see the game improve on for, people watching this video, or for yourself, whatever the case may be? What do you think that NBA 2K20 can do moving forward? Because as of late, there's been a lot of people messaging me on Twitter saying, you got to make this My Team video, it's getting really bad, the content, the glitches, stuff like that, and it's just, they're saying they're being lazy and stuff like that. So with all things considered, what do you want them to improve to move forward with, and for yourself and other people to enjoy the game mode more?
Like, obviously there's the server things, but everyone knows about them. One thing that I think would actually be a huge help for my team is if before they release content, if before they tweet something out, if they just had, like, obviously Robbie Two Bros has played my team, he plays a lot of it, maybe he doesn't too much anymore. If they just took 5 minutes to have a conversation and think, will this piss off the fan base? Like, something as simple as that. Like the Doncic situation, it would have taken, surely somebody would have noticed that it was the same card twice and thought maybe give him a few extra Hall of Fame badges or a few less. Like, even that type of conversation. Or when they're releasing cards being like, okay, people really want X, Y, and Z. Let's actually give the people what they want instead of taking away what people are happy about. Things like that. And the problem is that I think the stuff like that, not even that it costs them money, that it doesn't even, it's extra work, it's extra thought, and it may end up leading to less money. So I think they're kind of content with annoying us all because we'll still spend money on the game, which is, it's tough because like, I don't even know what way I want my team to improve, because on paper, this is great. Like, almost everything that we asked for in previous years, we've got. Like, yeah, sure, you can say, oh yeah, we need a draft mode, we need X, Y, and Z. But Evo cards are a great addition. Triple Threat offline being rewarding, great addition. Triple Threat online, if they just given us what they gave us at the end of last year and kept updating it, it would be great. We're getting more content than ever before. We're getting more cheap budget cards than ever before. These cards are being usable. So it's one of those things where at face value, you're looking at and being like, apart from the obvious, just dumb things like the tournament, what happened then, server glitches, the auction house being broken for ages, you're like, this should be perfect, but it's just not. So it's really hard to pinpoint one exact thing to fix. It's really hard to pinpoint. It's just something feels off about this year, and there's a reason why no one's enjoying it. There's a reason why all content creators, no one has any energy. Hardly anyone's making content in this game mode.
That's actually a great
It's just draining. It's just drained. There's just something about this mode that is just draining to do anything with.
That's a great point that you brought up there. I actually wasn't going to talk about this, but since you brought it up, I think what a lot of people need to understand is that you know this, especially YouTube as a job. If you're doing any job, if you're doing something, you should be enjoying what you're doing, right? Like, if you're going to a 9-to-5 job, most people don't, but I'm the kind of person, if I do something and I want to make it my job, I want to enjoy it. And that's the case with most my team YouTubers this year. And I've been talking to a lot of people like that, and they've been saying that NBA 2K20 MyTEAM, in terms of their content creation, has taken away the passion for them to actually, provide content and create content. How do you feel about that? Do you agree with that, or?
Like, I fully agree with that, because there's so many, like, I don't know, like, there's so much more to make content on, but it's just harder. It's just one of those things where it's like, every time you're trying to record a gameplay, something happens, just gets you angry. Like, 2K will do something that'll annoy you, and you'll go into a video angry. Views aren't there. Not many people are playing the mode, so views are down, which it's hard. Like, as much as people are saying you should make content for enjoyment, it's hard when you're seeing your views be cut by 75% from this time last year. Like I'm lucky I'm in a position where my views are still decent, but I know that's not the case for, I'd say, apart from myself, Carlos, maybe Henry. That's just simply not the case. Everyone's views are at a stage where I'd say they're all struggling to make a living from it, which in turn means less people are making content, less people are watching my team in general, and it's just kind of a vicious cycle where no one's really enjoying making content for this game. But it's the game mode, it's YouTube, it's the community pretty much dying. It's just not a great time to be making content for my team. But look, in June, when everything's popping because they inevitably will release games for $3, it seems great because there's so much content to do, views are up. It's just, this is a really, really rough time for my team. So it's just kind of getting through this period, and it'll be interesting to see. Like, it should pick up, but it may not. And I can see why a lot of content creators are really stepping back, considering their options with everything, and some of them just completely stopping playing my team.
Yeah, like I said, I don't play my team anymore, but I've been in the community for a while, and I played my team for a while, and I will say comfortably that this is the worst feedback I've ever seen on a MyTEAM game mode, honestly in a 2K in general. People are talking worse about this game in 2K18, and we're not going to get into that discussion because that's not this video. But in terms of MyTEAM, this is the worst MyTEAM I've ever seen people comment on. Like, I don't think I've ever talked to a single person who has something positive to say about MyTEAM. And it's concerning because it's like, I want 2K, if MyTEAM does well, right, that creates awareness for the game, right? That means 2K people are enjoying 2K, which allows views and people to grow. But that's not the case with it.
There's a lot of positives in MyTEAM. I'm saying it right now. There are a lot of positives, and that's the reason why it's so frustrating for everyone, is that it's really hard to pinpoint what really is wrong. It's like coming into this year, we looked at everything and we're like, this could be the perfect MyTEAM, and it just isn't. And that's why people have such a low opinion of this, worse than 18. There is no way that this is a worse MyTEAM than 2K18. There is no way. Supermax was a disaster. Content wasn't as good as this year. The gameplay was worse. There's no way.
Do you think the fact that it's basically like the exact same thing as 2K19 has something to do with it? Like the menu's the same, the triple threat, well, it isn't the same, but like the visual aspect of the game mode is the same. Do you not think that has like a little bit to play with it? Because I know for Park, that was the biggest thing, was that nothing changed visually for Park. It was literally a copy and paste. And I know the menus and stuff are the same for MyTEAM, and I think the triple threat courts are. I could be wrong with that. But do you think that has anything to do with it? Like they feel like they're loading into the same game?
I genuinely don't think that.
No,
I think they're so different. They feel so different, the two games.
So why do people not like this game mode so much then? Like, what is?
Like, look, it's again, that's one of the things where it's hard to kind of pinpoint it. Sure, the gameplay is really frustrating, but like the gameplay has been frustrating every year in 2K. Like 2K17 was doing well, and we don't remember it back then, but no one really liked the gameplay back then. And same with 15 was broken, but yet MyTEAM kind of had a lot more hype. I think it's become so much of a cash grab. And this is one thing that 2K have done, and people have noticed it for the first time in a while. So most of the new content 2K are giving us is either not good cards or better versions of reward cards. Mm-hmm. So like we've gotten loads of like the same couple of cards, but yet we haven't seen the likes of Kareem. We haven't seen a Shaq that's above a Sapphire. Like all these like good cards, they're waiting for them all for the end of the year, and we're just getting filler content. We're getting a lot of it. It's basically forcing people to pay money, but it's a lot of nothing. It's a lot of just filler. And even some of the cards, like Jeff Petrie is one of the best cards in the game, but no one cares about Jeff Petrie. Like he could be 99 stat everything with LeBron's animations. No one will care because he's Jeff Petrie. 2K have just taken every bit of hype. They've taken every bit of just fun out of the game. I don't know how to explain it. It's just not fun.
It sounds like it's exhausting is exactly what it sounds like.
And it's exhausting for everyone. Like Evo cards take way too long to grind up at this stage. Like 4,000 points needed or something to get some cards to Pink Diamond, which is ridiculous.
And people don't have, like, even people who don't have, you know, a 9-to-5 job, people don't want to sit there and, like, you know, do that, like play with the same card every day for hours upon end. Like that just doesn't seem like something that would be enjoyable to me personally, but I don't know, it's different for everyone. But that to me doesn't seem really like it'd be that enjoyable. But the way you explain that right there made it sound like it's like exhausting to play MyTEAM right now.
Yeah, for me it is anyway, because I'm making 3 videos a day on it. Like
yeah,
but most people have just completely stepped away, and I fully understand why. Because it's exhausting, it's frustrating. You don't step away from a game of MyTEAM thinking, I enjoyed that, I want to go back. And I don't know why that's the problem, but it is. Like that's awful. Like that's the thing. That's the biggest problem in the game, is that you don't step away from MyTEAM, whether it's something the 2K have done, whether you've gone into a game and you just can't hit shots and your opponent's hitting all their whites, they're hitting contest shots and you're not doing anything. You never step away from a game of 2K20 MyTEAM without being annoyed, without being frustrated. And a game, for the fact that that's the way the video game feels for almost everybody, everyone has different problems with it. Some have problems with gameplay, some have problems with everything. Like, no two people feel the same way about this game, but the one kind of consensus feeling is that it's just not fun.
Yep.
And I don't know why. It's hard to explain.
I think you just summed up 2K20 in a nutshell. right there. Was that right there? It's just not fun. It's not fun anymore. It's exhausting. It's just it just doesn't feel like old 2Ks to me personally. And me and you have both been around for a while, and I think that's a perfect way to put it. It's not fun anymore. Like, it's just not enjoyable, and I don't. We can't put like a finger on it. Obviously, there's clear issues and there's whatever, but it's just really not enjoyable. But this has been a 39-minute video, so this is going to be. I don't know if I'm gonna post like the whole thing because I didn't expect this conversation to be 40 minutes long.
40 minutes, Jesus.
40 minutes. I'm gonna have to find some things to cut, but I don't know.
2K20 is you go for hours.
That is true. We could sit here and talk about everything, but I wanted to make a video because you guys know that I don't play my team like that, so I don't want to sit here and speak on things that I didn't know about. So I brought in DBG to voice his opinion and give some, you know, insight to things that I don't know nothing about. So I don't know how long this video is going to be, guys. If it does manage to be 40 minutes and you got here, I appreciate that, but it's at least going to be a 20-minute video. So I appreciate you guys watching. DBG, I'm going to leave his link in the description below because he's the guy who knows everything about my team, and he was the one who was talking. So other than that, is there anything else you want to say, DBG? Anything like that?
Not really. It's been a bit of a, just like everything in 2K20, it's been a bit of a disaster. There's nothing that's gone right for 2K20. Be honest, so
I think
not much more I can say.
I think that's a good summary. So without further ado, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. DBG's link will be in the description below if you guys want to go check him out. And yeah, peace.